A good news segment, and we're sitting here getting microphones working and cameras lined up in between news break and coming here. And Susan Harris, welcome once again to WKNI TV.
Hey.
Ow, 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 ow.
Sorry.
I'm just teasing.
You should act right.
Listen to you already assuming. Golly. Well, that doesn't happen in Covington County.
Not at all.
Just read Facebook.
There you go.
Get all the gossip there. But welcome. We thank you for coming on. It's been a while since, well, this is your first time in our new studio. What you think?
I like it.
Pretty cool.
I like it. It's nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. And on the square, we do live shots out there all day long and wave at people as they go by. Get run over almost. Yeah, Yeah, so I wonder if somebody will actually dive at. Nobody would do that. Let's not encourage them.
Let's not encourage.
I love you coming on because you'll pick on me. Just
Yes, I will.
pick.
Yes, I
Yep.
will.
Teresa, if you could turn that light on and that light on, and we'll get back to normal here on the set, so that way we get all the shadows off everybody. But lots of stuff going on in your department, and weather has not been our friend of late, and just walk in front of the camera. This one here. This is all recorded. It don't matter.
That's all right.
Yeah,
We'll go with the flow.
That's right. It's live TV. But
I've had that kind of morning.
yeah, it's there. See now, look at that. She's so pretty, folks, isn't she?
Oh, yes.
Golly. But it's been a rough year in the sense of weather. We haven't had a hurricane, but we've had all the water we can handle. How many inches do you know off the top of your head?
Well, last month's total was, depending on the area, but 13 to 16 inches.
Last month.
Last month. This month, I don't have the totals, but it's going to be pretty close
I'm
to that or
told
more.
it's right around 30 plus inches in a month. And that's a lot of rain.
A lot of
That's
water.
a lot of water on ground that we were in a drought just before all this. So everything was dried up. People were worrying about where's the water going to come from, and we got that answer. And you know, we're learning from experience. We're not going to get you involved in it, but we're learning through experience as things happen that Mother Nature has a way to deal with a lot of water sometimes. We're seeing this effect possibly, we're not saying that's exactly what it is, out at Westgate Plaza, where a lot of rain has come down, gotten underneath the asphalt apparently, and has caused a washout and have a drop-off, you know, an effect. And I'm sure it has happened in other places in less populated areas with all this rain as well. Most importantly, that I want to bring to folks' attentions, if you don't mind, is the dangers of the rivers and the creeks and things like that. We just lost a 7-year-old child, unfortunately, just a few weeks ago, due to the high water and fast movement. People are deceived by looking at the water and going, oh, I can swim across that.
Yes. Well, rivers right now, the levels, they're high, but they're not in our flood area right now. This past weekend, with the possibility of all the rain that was coming through, that was a concern. But right now, we're doing pretty good with our river levels. But people that live in those areas, they are aware. But it's like what you were talking about, those that are not familiar with the waters and how they work and all that, and just entertainment, that can be your problems and your issues there. But people that live around it, they watch it closely. They know, when it's going to be flooding their areas, and they take precautions.
Well, one of the things that I've seen Florida do and I've seen Alabama do as well is when we get this large amount of rain like this and there's a lot of water flow going under the bridges, they not concerned, but they inspect and make sure that it's not being undermined. And I saw some crews doing that the other day at some of these bridges, and that's a concern. The water moving around, it washes away from around the bottom of it and could cause problems.
Yeah, that's of course, the engineer's job there, which I wouldn't have his job right now with all, on a good basis, it's a hard job, but with all this water and storms that you're having, past storms, you still are trying to work on those damages and stuff like that. But yeah, he goes through and he checks the bridges, and they're very good. If we have any reports of flash flooding or any areas that are flooding, they get out there and put the barricades up and wait till the water goes
Today's
down.
technology, we're way ahead of the game
Oh, yeah.
in a sense, because we've got radio transmitters out at certain areas that give water levels and let us know that there's a problem. Gant Lake with the dam over there, there in Gant, yeah, Gant, you know, the power plant. You know that place that the water comes out?
Steam comes up.
Yeah. It's going well, folks. But anyway, you know, you go by there and you can see that they're releasing a lot of water, and then they back off, and then they release more, and that's a science. It's not just, hey, I think the water's high, time to open it up, or things like that. There's a science to all that. One of the things that a lot of residents are concerned about, not just here, it happens in, you know, all around when this weather hits, and that's dirt roads. And not that you have any control over the dirt roads, but that comes under FEMA and things like that if there's a large amount of damage that comes along. Do you see that as forthcoming to the county?
I don't see it right now, no, because the dollar figure is pretty high about how much damages you have to have, and it's usually a short time frame. This has gone over the last 2 months, you know, and damage is just accumulated. So with FEMA assistance, it has to be a pretty major disaster, and it usually takes several counties around to get to that threshold.
So Darren Capps is out there being real cautious about where the monies are spent too.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, the county's hurting right now financially, and we don't need to have that. But they're doing the best they can to keep the roads up. I know that. And they're working on ways to better it. And there's a lot of folks out there that say, man, get my road fixed. Well, you can't really fix a road unless it stops raining.
Right.
And otherwise, you're just moving mud.
Right.
And but we've been fortunate that the World Series and things like that has been able to kick off well. We got a great community,
Yes,
don't we?
We do. Great county.
They pull together. I mean, I loved it when things got bad at the other field. Red Level raised their hand and said, "Here we are." They spent. I know residents that don't work for the city, that have nothing to do with anything with Parks and Recreation, were out there working their tails off all night long to get that field ready, and every night since then.
Right.
And my hat's off to them. They're a wonderful group of people over there, and it's neat because I get to talk to some of these folks that have come in from Washington State, Wisconsin, Missouri, California, New York. We had real New Yorkers here, folks. And
Yeah.
they were over at Nick's over there at Brooks yesterday, and he's having fun with them. But lots of nice folks from all over the area, and the impression that they're getting is like, how can y'all do this? Y'all are just awesome, and that's good to hear.
Yes.
It really is.
Yes, it is.
So anyway, what do you think? What we're looking at here with rain? I mean, we're not going to talk hurricanes yet. That's coming up next segment. But do you think we're okay?
We're going to expect some more rain. Even today, the chances go down for the next few days, but they're saying this is going to continue for a while.
I looked at the model for the rest of this month, and honestly, after Sunday, it looks like, well, actually, including Sunday, it looks like we're right back up on top of the charts again for 70%, 80% chance of rain. Can we take that much more?
We're going to have to. We're going to have to. And just hope that any strong winds do not come.
Well,
that's going to be the issue. I think we can get through the slow rainfalls, get the water washed down. I feel sorry for these farmers. You know, that is a just major issue. But as far as our river levels, I think we should be okay. And then, like I said, just as long as we don't get any storms coming through that's got a little bit of wind, because that's going to be our issue.
Well, one of the other things that's happening with this water, and it's not under your department, but you know, it's a fact, is all the wildlife is starting to come out of the woods because there's no place for them to eat or lay down, or you know, there's plenty of water for them, but they're ankle deep or knee deep, or deer are standing on the side of the road just to keep their feet from getting, you know, wet. And so that's, y'all be careful with that, because you know, there's a lot of it out there. I'm seeing a lot of roadkill, and that's not a good sign.
No.
And the animals have no place to go. The Everglades, I know that has nothing at all with any of this, but they're in their biggest kill of wildlife in the National Everglades right now because of the water. And there's no place for the animals to go, the land-bearing animals.
Right.
You know, the alligators are fine, the fish are fine, but birds can't, you know, there's no place for birds to feed off the ground, the worms and stuff. And, you know, you don't think of those things.
No, you don't.
And so it has an impact on the environment as well. But we come back, we're going to take a quick break. Hurricane season is really just in its prime. I mean, we're at the beginning of the worst part of the season right now.
Right.
This is like the second quarter of a four-quarter football game, and we haven't even gotten to halftime yet.
That's right.
And football's starting, so that's
I
why I threw
know.
that
I'm
in
getting
there.
excited about that too.
Go Gators!
Well, roll Tide.
Yeah, okay. Well, they're on my list too. I love both. You know, I got to say this for everybody's sanity out there. Alabama has a wonderful team.
Yes,
I
they
mean,
do.
they sure do.
Yes, they
They've proven it. Anybody that says any difference a fool, okay, because they have really knocked it out of the ballpark. Auburn has great people too. I love Troy. They just started, you know, getting out in their ventures with football, and I love that team too. So I'm kind of like four football teams. I'm like going, and when they play against each other, I don't like it because I don't want to root for the, you know, anybody. I just want both of them to win, and that ain't going to be possible.
I like all of them, but I
Yeah.
can holler against them.
You,
I have no issues with that.
so you're not an LSU fan?
If they're not playing Alabama, yeah, it'll be. I can holler for them if I need to. Yeah.
No, okay. Did you see the sheriff on the other day? He had his LSU shirt on.
Did he really?
He did. Everybody saw it, didn't they? He had the LSU purple
Did he
and
lose
gold.
a bet or something?
I don't know, but he said he ordered all the deputies those LSU shirts.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah,
I
he
know.
was sitting right there. Yeah, I wouldn't lie.
Yeah, right.
We're going to be right back with Susan Harris. Right after these messages, our EMA director, we're going to be talking about hurricanes and high winds and thunderstorms. Remember, folks, these thunderstorms can pack some high winds as well. So be aware of that and talk about some things with that as well. Remember, keep it real, keep God in it. We appreciate y'all watching. We'll be right back with more good news with Susan Harris right after this. Hello, folks, and welcome back once again to WKNI TV 25 Good News. We have EMA Director Susan Harris on board with us this morning. We're talking about the heavy rains that we've had, over 30-some inches so far in a month is what we've found, and it's going to continue to do so for the rest of the month that I'm aware of, maybe a couple of days break right now. It's the ground's saturated. That means the trees are like loose teeth, and all it takes is a little bit of pushing and rocking, and they're coming down. And a lot of folks don't realize that these thunderstorms that we get, they can pack 50, 60 mile an hour winds.
Right.
And the thing that, what do they call it? I'm trying to think. Maintenance prevention is a big deal in something like this. If you make sure that the trees are cut and trimmed and that, you know, they're away from the power lines and so on, when we do have winds, it's not going to be that bad in areas, but there'll be power outages, there'll be roads blocked and things like that. It's already happening on a small extent.
Yeah, small. And that was the issue that we did have, is because when we did have thunderstorms coming through, other than the lightning has really been bad the last few months.
You don't have to tell me about lightning. Darling, 3 strikes in 3 months last year. And it took, every time it took us all the way out.
Oh,
And
I know.
It's not a good thing.
No, and it's been severe lately. But with the storms that did come through, other than the lightning, just a little bit of wind, like you said, it doesn't take much with the way the ground is saturated right now, that it just doesn't take much to get those trees down.
Seriously, now we're in some big concerns with the hurricane season. I mean, there's no kidding about it. We're getting apathetic. A lot of folks are sitting there going, they yelled wolf, you know, they said this is going to be a bad hurricane season. And look, you know, nothing's even been really developed or come near us, and it ain't going to happen. And they're not concerned. But we're actually at the very beginning, like I said, of the worst part of the season.
Right.
and they're coming from the worst area, which is Africa,
Right.
across the Atlantic, and those are the babies that get up to be the Andrews and the Ivans and things like that. That's where those came from.
And it's like we were talking about before. You know, we've had around 7 named storms already. So those just haven't hit us. And there's been many tropical depressions out there that just hasn't formed. I mean, it's been active, like you said, but it's just nothing that has actually hit our land. So.
Well, preparedness is a smart thing. And if you have the right things, and I like to always remind people, you know, make sure you have enough water for, you know, at least 3 days for each individual.
Yes.
All right. Make sure you have enough, you know, edibles that you have in canned goods or you know, food that is ready, you know, ready made. All you have to do is, you know, don't worry about bread and things like that, because in moisture and power outages, it'll mold real quick. Canned goods, jars, you know, things like that. And especially the elderly or folks that are dependent on medications, make sure you have your medications if you know a storm's coming. Have a backup for
Right.
that. Because in all seriousness, when I was with the Red Cross during Ivan, one of the worst things I saw were people trying to get to a pharmacy. They couldn't get to them because the roads were closed.
Right.
The pharmacies weren't open, okay, because no power was on, and they couldn't get their medications. And we're talking about heart medications, we're talking about diabetics, we're talking serious things that you can't just stop the medication.
Right. And just not that, there's all types of health supplies that people need to survive. We do not have a medical needs shelter in Covington County. So they need to be prepared because there's nowhere to go. So they need to make the preparations right now, what they would do if there is no power for 2, 3, 5, 7 days.
You can go 2 to 3 weeks.
Yes, but go ahead and have your plan. Have several plans on. That is a serious issue. So you need to have several means of ways that you can, you know, take care of your needs, and you're responsible for it. You know.
Well, if you go to a Red Cross shelter, if they open one up, it's not going to have special needs. We were in a unique situation during Ivan when I was shelter manager in Evergreen, and we had no choice. They made us a special needs, and they brought in hospital patients and things like that because the hospital got hit, and you know there's no other place for them to go, and you can't depend on that because there's a lot of I can't remember her name. Trish was in that car wreck from OP, and she was in our special needs area, and she was in traction and all this you know stuff, and just you know scary situation. So we need to make sure we have those plans in effect.
Right.
You can't over prepare for a hurricane, and I don't want y'all to think that just because it's just raining that we're out of the danger. We're not.
We're not. We're not.
What does EMA do? What levels do you have when a hurricane is coming? I mean, you have like a standby level, then you have, you know, as you go up. I've seen you, you know, pass out and disseminate information in the past. How does that work with EMA? Is that from the National Weather Service that you get that?
We get all our updates from Mobile Weather Service. Of course, they get it from the Hurricane Center. But I get that information, and I have a major email list that I just make sure everybody's aware. Just like this past weekend, nothing happened, but I'm heads up. This is what's going on. Possibilities of a lot of rain, you know, things like that. And then I'll do that with hurricanes too. And at a certain point, depending on the track of the storm, we'll activate our EOC, which is in the commission building. And with that, we have different representatives from each area that will be in there so that we all can start talking, seeing what the needs are for each city. And then from there, we just see what happens and start responding to it. That's when it gets hopping there.
What happens, where do you go during a hurricane? Okay, because I remember Ivan, and y'all were in the 911 building. And that was a scary situation. I remember hearing about the doors rattling and water blowing through, and it was scary, but the building held up. Do we have a shelter for our EOC, or?
Well, that's what I'm working on right now.
You've been working on other people's shelters, but.
Yes, yes. So we've been working on all types of shelters, individual shelters, and I have presented to the commission, the last commission meeting, that we did receive some hazard mitigation money, which is FEMA money, but it's a 75-25 match. And I'm hoping that we could get an actual shelter there at the commission building so that we can move into it if we get, or we need to, get a little scared, move out there. But if not, you know, I would love to have an EOC in that safe location, but I don't know if that's going to work out or not.
I hate to tell you, that commission building, I wouldn't want to be in it during a hurricane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not it's a tin building. So.
Right. That's when I activate the EOC. I put out, you know, that you come when you're comfortable with it. You know, I don't want everybody to come and die with me. You know, that's their choice.
We won't be there.
If they come, but I will be there because that's my job. So, and hopefully that won't happen. But
you put off a thing over at the Kiwanis building this past year. Are you planning on doing that again?
yes, we're planning on doing that.
Very successful, by the way.
It was. I was very pleased. A lot of information was passed out. A lot of stuff learned about emergency, all types of emergencies, just not weather events. And I had a lot of feedback and a lot of things we're going to do different. And I think it'll be a success.
You did an awesome job on that.
Thank you. I had a lot of help.
Well,
I had a committee that a lot of people done a lot of work for that.
Well, somebody had to lead it, and we'll give that to you. And you did a good job.
Thank you.
Lots of vendors are out there sharing their wares. In fact, some folks got shelters. In fact, there's like 4 or 5 shelter people there. And when you have that diversity, you have choices.
That's right.
And there are some from lower income levels all the way up to the high, exaggerated income levels of building shelters.
Yeah.
And
You can make them as fancy as you want to. Put bathrooms in them, showers, TVs, you know, bunks. They're nice, though.
Yeah, well, the masseuse and everything.
I don't know if they have that or not.
And pedicures. But, Sue, we appreciate you. Susan, I'm sorry. I'm going to get in trouble, see?
That's fine.
No.
You're doing good.
Okay. I said Harris every time so
There you
far.
go. I'm proud of you.
But we appreciate you coming in. Welcome here anytime at WKNI Studios on the Square. And if there's anything that we need to get out, just give us a yell.
I sure will.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
God bless you. Folks, Susan Harris, our EMA director here for Covington County, she's got a job that I particularly wouldn't want, because when it all goes to Hades in a pot, as they say, she's the one that everybody points fingers at, but she's the one that actually is trying to pull it all together to make things happen so everybody gets back to at least some sort of normal after a tragedy in our community. So Susan Harris, God bless you. Thank you very, very much. Folks, thanks for watching. Tune in at 12 o'clock for Live with Lunch with WKNI. And we'll have Don, what's his name? Dupree, the world famous bowler, on from Stryker Entertainment Center here in Andalusia. Don Dupree is a world-renowned bowler. But I treat them all. So you don't feel bad.
There you go.
We'll see you at noon. God bless you.